A very good day to my dear students of Standard 9th and welcome to the science class on environmental management. Think about what you put in the garbage today. You probably threw away leftover food, food packaging and wrappings, and maybe some paper or a broken toy, old clothes that just don't fit anymore. All of these things put together end up in our garbage cans and then in landfills. If this keeps up, the earth will soon be covered in trash. So how can we make less garbage? What is the necessity of solid waste management? The first point, for preventing environmental pollution and to keep the surroundings clean, for energy as well as fertilizer production, and through that to generate work and employment opportunities, to reduce the strain on natural resources through treatment of solid waste, to improve the health and quality of life, and to maintain environmental balance. So all these points together tell us how important it is to manage our waste properly. With all this, we'll have a better place to live in, better living conditions, our environment will be fit and healthy. So let's learn. As citizens, we all have a responsibility to manage our waste sustainably. We can do this by following the principles of solid waste management. And what are these principles? There are the 7 R's of solid waste management. As correctly quoted by Mother Teresa, I only feel angry when I see waste, when I see people throwing away things we could use. So let's follow the 7 R's of solid waste management in order to keep ourselves well versed with what techniques to be followed while throwing our garbage away. So let's see what are the 7 R's of waste management. The first one is refuse. Refuse to buy items that we really don't need. Another example of refuse would be to refuse any kind of material which is not environmental friendly. Refusal to use articles made from non-degradable materials like plastic, thermocol, styrofoam, etc. Next is reduce. What should you reduce? Restrict the use of resources to avoid their wastage. Old materials should be reused. One thing should be shared by many. Use and throw type of objects should be avoided. And also other things that you could include is reduce the use of private vehicles by walking or riding a bike or carpooling, etc. Turn off water when not in use. Reduce the use of electricity. Use energy efficient appliances. So these are small things we can keep in our mind. What about the kitchen waste that we get? All this waste can be collected as wet waste and all that can be composted into nutrient-rich manure. So from so much of waste in the kitchen, you go down to zero waste. Okay? Next is reuse. What should you reuse? Rely more on items that can be used over and over again. For example, your water bottles that you bring, avoid the use of single-use water bottles. So bring refillable water bottles, use reusable grocery bags, lunch boxes, reuse waste materials and turn them into beautiful crafts. Use both the sides of the paper, print on both the sides of the paper. Okay? Next is repurpose, or as in your textbook it says rethink. So basically rethink involves rethinking our habits, repurposing, ensuring that all the materials that we have that we think are waste, What can we do with them? So rethinking our habits, activities and their consequences in connection with the use of various articles that we use in our daily life. And lastly is recycle. Now these are the basic 5 R's. The next 2 R's also will be discussing. So total 7 R's of solid waste management. Recycle would include plastic containers, soda cans, cardboard boxes, newspapers, magazines. All this can be recycled. And also we should ensure that we buy items which are made from recyclable materials. Research. Now conducting research, keeping your scientific attitude going. What should we do? We should ensure that we keep on researching how we can reuse materials that are temporarily out of use. And last is regulation and public awareness. Following the laws and rules which are related to waste management, and not just you. You should also motivate others to do the same.
The first R is rethink. We should rethink about our habits, our needs, or our basic necessities. We must actually think, do I really need this now? The second R is refuse. Refuse anything that will harm our environment. See, for example, countries like China, Bangladesh, Somalia has refused the use of plastic bag carriers by imposing a ban on it. We must think on how to avoid the use of something. The third R is reduce. This principle focuses on reduction in waste generation. This can be done by repairing, reusing, and sharing. Let's think of the ways to reduce the waste formation. The fourth R is reuse. Reuse means using something again or more than one time and thereby reducing the generation of waste. Here we must think of the ways to use a product to its fullest. The fifth R is recycle. It is reprocessing of unwanted materials into new, useful products. Think of how we can make new products out of the old ones. The sixth R is regulate. We humans throw away the waste anywhere. Also, many industries release or dump their waste in natural water bodies and open spaces. To control these undesirable activities, there has to be some rules and regulations. It is equally necessary to keep a control on our activity. And the last one is research. We must research and develop new innovative ways to reuse the unwanted material and reduce the generation of waste. So think and develop.
Let's take a little inspiration from this quote as Robert Swan says, "The greatest threat to our planet is the belief that someone else will save it." It's not someone else, it is each one's responsibility. As we have mentioned before, that it is the collective responsibility of each individual and on the global level that we need to save our environment. We need to improve our habits and rethink the use of waste materials. So basically, here are some tips for saving our planet through practicing waste management at a very basic level. And since you're at home, there is no better time to inculcate good habits and develop some new commitments to do better for the environment. Now, what can be done? The first is following the basic 3 R's. We learned 7 R's, but the basic 3 R's are reduce, reuse, and recycle. Now, a simple example comes from the famous comedian Demetri Martin. He says, I wrapped my Christmas presents early this year, but I used the wrong paper. See, the paper I used said happy birthday on it. I didn't want to waste it, so I just wrote Jesus on it. So basically, when he was wrapping his Christmas gifts, he used the happy birthday gift paper which he must have received before from someone. You can reuse it, but instead of happy birthday, he said happy birthday Jesus. So rethink your habits in this way. So this quote from this comedian on waste holds some serious advice. There are so many ways we can repurpose, rethink on items of daily use within our homes before sending them off to the dustbin. Next we talk about is which type of articles can be recycled. Aluminium, tin, steel cans, so all this can be given to the, you have these raddiwalas who collect, so we can give it to them. They will ensure that it goes for recycling. Paper, cardboard, all colors, glass bottles, jars, food and beverages cartons, plastic bottles, containers, etc. And those that cannot be recycled will be certain electrical appliances, cords, lights, paper towels, tissue papers, scrap metal, then styrofoam, those single-use containers that are used, no plastic bags, wrapping, etc. All this cannot be recycled. Now what can we do with plastic bags? If we are using them, ensure that we are using the ones which are of a higher micron, so those are biodegradable. And then plastic bags can be dropped off, so you can reuse the plastic bags. Ensure that they don't go in the dustbin, and when there are many bags which are collected, it can be easily given off to the local grocery store. The next one is throwing plastic wrappers of chocolates, ice cream, biscuits, etc. into the dustbins. Avoid littering. Avoiding the use of plastic bags and instead use cloth bags or bags prepared from old saris, bed sheets, curtains, etc. Using both sides of the paper for writing as well as for printing. Reusing greeting cards and gift papers. Avoiding use of tissue paper and preferring to use one's own handkerchief. Using rechargeable batteries instead of lead batteries. Avoiding use and throw type of articles like pens, canned cold drinks, Tetra packs should be strictly avoided. These are all called single-use articles, single-use plastic articles. So avoid the use of these articles and try and use as much as articles which can be used on a multiple level, multiple times. Okay. Now 9 tips for living with less plastic. Bring your own shopping bag. Second, carry a reusable water bottle. Third, bring your own cups. Fourth, pack your lunch in reusable containers. Fifth, say no to disposable straws and cutlery. Skip the plastic produce bags. Slow down and dine in. So as much as possible, avoid, if you are getting food from outside, as in between the government had started, so these packaging materials which are used, they are not environmental friendly. So as much as possible, try to avoid dining outside, and as much as possible, dine in house. And store leftovers in glass jars. Share these tips with your friends. So all this should not be just you, include everybody around you in order to follow these simple tips that we can do it in our everyday life in order to save the environment. Implementing various programs of solid waste management and encouraging the family and society in this regard. Now I would like you to watch a video on a story of a few boys from a school who came about to see how plastic was being utilized on a very large scale and what can be done in order to keep plastic away from our lives. So let's view the video, and I hope my Glorians draw inspiration from this video and they themselves ensure and come up with ideas of making plastic, zero plastic, a part of our lives.
One day, as Samir was returning home from school, he saw a cow chewing a plastic bag. Just then, another garbage bag fell from a building in front. Samir, on seeing this, felt concerned and started thinking about it. As he researched on Google, he found out that plastic has taken over the world, and plastic became a matter of concern for him. One day, he spoke to his friends.
Hey, do you know that the ocean contains more than 5 trillion plastic pieces?
What? 5 trillion?
Now think about our daily lives. From the moment we wake up till the time we sleep, we are surrounded by plastic like toothbrush, lunchbox, water bottle and plastic bags which we use and throw.
Then we must do something about it.
Yes, why don't we make a project on it? Maybe that will help us.
Together, they built a report and presented it to the class. As they were explaining it to the other kids,
every day we use more than 500 million plastic straws. The real question is, do we even need straws to drink?
There are other things related to plastic that is used and thrown, like computer parts, TV, furniture, mats, and car parts too.
We have found a solution for this and we need your help to achieve its target. We need to think about the future and act on it today. Thank you.
as the days went by, kids began joining their movement and began making paper bags at school. The video was also shared on social media, which gathered even more attention. In a few days, they opened a stall right next to the school canteen, where they would sell these paper bags at marginal rates, and the demand for plastic began decreasing, through which they began making carry bags. And the principal introduced sewing as a subject for hobby classes. Many students could now show their creativity in making colorful carry bags. We don't need plastic, do you? As time went by, Senior Public School became a plastic-free zone. And these three friends became a pillar of inspiration for the other kids. So they started with a new campaign, Go Earthen. Samir, Kunal and Karthik converted their hobby into a business model and started a small company. With time, these three started giving interviews in radio stations. Even the newspapers began writing about them. By taking a firm action, they started changing the society. Always remember, to do something big, we must start small. And with time, the world unites to make the dream come true.
Next we discuss is the period required for degradation of waste. So as you can see, those things which are biodegradable take less time, and as the biodegradable, the value comes down, that means it goes more into being non-biodegradable, the number of years taken for natural degradation increases. So cloth bags 1 month, rags 5 months, coming down to aluminium cans 200 to 250 years, thermocol, styrofoam cup, infinite duration. So they're completely not environmental friendly. So if the time required for degradation of solid waste generated around us is long, it seriously affects other environmental factors. Now we discuss about two types of waste, wet waste and dry waste. So basically these are all methods of storing waste, and it shows the specific use of dustbins as per the type of waste. And also another way of classifying the dry waste would be separating them into 4 different types of colors. So for paper it's blue, for glass it's green, for plastic it's yellow, and for metal it's red. So these are certain ways of separating the dustbins, and this becomes a more eco-friendly way of managing our waste, and these can be achieved by following these small methods even at home. So we are all awaiting the change of times, the times where all of us together will put in a collective effort in order to manage our waste properly and thereby bring a positive and an eco-friendly surrounding into being. So hope for a better tomorrow from me and from all the Glorians. Thank you, stay safe and have a good day ahead.